first person I want to quote is Robert Smalls. Robert Smalls is a war hero, he was a congressman, and he was a former slave. During one of his speeches, during one of his congressional races, he had this quote: "My race needs no special defense, for the past history of them in this country proves them to be the equal of any people anywhere. All they need is an equal chance in the battle at life." I also want to share the words of Ida B. Wells. Ida B. Wells was a journalist. She was one of the frontline activists that pushed for the knowledge that lynchings were still common to be understood throughout the country and addressed. And she did a lot of work in that way. She was also a former slave. During one of her speeches on lynch law in America, I also quickly want to say I got all this information for blackpast.org, fantastic website that has a lot of full speeches by historical figures that are very valuable. This is from Ida B. Wells' speech, Lynch Law in America. Beginning in 1892 with the I apologize. This is not the speech yet. This is the introduction. Beginning in 1892 with the destruction of her newspaper, the Memphis Free Speech, Ida B. Wells for the next 40 years was the most prominent opponent of lynching in the United States. What follows is a speech she made to a Chicago audience on the subject in January 1900. And I'm going to read some select portions of this speech. "For all kinds of offenses, and for no offenses, from murders to misdemeanors, men and women are put to death without judge or jury, so that, although the political excuse was no longer necessary, the wholesale murder of human beings went on just the same." And later on, she's talking about why these things need to be addressed. She talks about the moral and ethical mandates to not allow this to happen in our country. And towards the end of that portion, she says this: "Finally, we need to do this for love of country. No American travels abroad without blushing for shame for his country on this subject. And whatever the excuse that passes current in the United States, it avails nothing abroad. With all the powers of government in control, with all the laws made by white men, administered by white judges, jurors, prosecuting attorneys, and sheriffs, with every office of the executive department filled by white men, no excuses can be offered for exchanging the orderly administration of justice for barbarous lynchings and quote-unquote unwritten laws."